January 21st, 1945. A logging road east of the Oder occupied Poland. 2 American gold coins, sewn into the lining of a stolen jacket, press against the ribs of a man who has not slept under a roof in 9 nights. He weighs 49 kilograms. He is 21. He steps out from a pine with his hands above his head. In front of him, the lead T-34 of a Soviet battalion grinds to a halt. The hatch opens. A face appears in a fur cap. The American shouts the only Russian sentence he has memorized in 2 days of running. Amerikański towarzysz. American comrade.
Don't shoot.
The tank commander stares at him for a long second, then climbs down with a Tokarev pistol drawn. The American does not lower his hands. There is a thin smile on his face that has nothing to do with relief. He has just walked off the property of Stalag 300C, 16 kilometers west, on his 3rd escape attempt in 7 months. The first 2 ended with a beating and a tooth missing. This one is different. In his coat lining, against his ribs, there are still 2 American gold coins his father pressed into his hand at Fort Bragg the night before he shipped out. They have survived 4 body searches by 3 different armies. He has not spent them yet. He never will. This man is about to become the only soldier of the Second World War to wear the uniform of the United States Army, and then, within weeks, the field grey of a Soviet penal tank battalion. The textbooks barely mention him. The American embassy in Moscow will refuse to believe he exists. J. Edgar Hoover himself will eventually be asked to confirm by fingerprint whether the corpse buried under his name in Michigan was the right body. How does a paratrooper from Muskegon end up asking the Red Army to please point him at the same camp he just broke out of? And why would a free man, with 2 ocean liners between himself and the war if he walks west, beg to be pointed east again, back into the German rear? His name is Joseph Robert Bearley. In the United States Army payroll, he is Sergeant Bearley of the 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division, F Company. The Screaming Eagles. His friends call him Jumpin' Joe. He has been on the books as killed in action since June 10, 1944. A telegram has already arrived at his mother's kitchen on Forest Street. A funeral mass has already been said for him at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Muskegon. There is a headstone with his name on it. The headstone is wrong. The mother does not yet know. Before the war, Joe Bearley is a foundry worker's son. His father shovels coal at the Continental Motors rail yard. The family has 8 children and 1 bathroom. The Depression has hollowed out the town the way it has hollowed out everything between Detroit and Chicago. Joe is a track and field star at St. Joseph High School. He breaks the city record in the half mile. The University of Notre Dame offers him a baseball scholarship in 1942. He turns it down. He is already enlisted in the paratroops. He wants the $50 a month jump pay because his father is 60 and the family needs the money more than Notre Dame needs another pitcher. He carries one thing with him from civilian life that the war never takes away. In the rail yard where his father works, the timetables are written in chalk on a slate by the foreman every morning. Joe stood beside that slate for 10 years of childhood. He can read a train schedule the way other men read a watch. He knows what a 50-car coal train sounds like when it is starting to roll versus when it is running empty back to the yard. This ordinary skill will save his life 4 times in 8 months in 1944. He does not know that yet. He carries one other thing. 6 months of evening German at the Muskegon YMCA, taken because a cousin of his mother in Bavaria writes letters every Christmas in a language his mother cannot read. His German is bad. He can ask for water, ask for a doctor, count to 100, and curse politely. It is enough. Fort Bragg, North Carolina, November 1943. The 506th has finished its training. Joe is 20 years old, lean as a whippet, 6 feet of careful Midwestern manners. The regiment is shipping for England in the morning. His father, William Bearley, has ridden the train down from Michigan to say goodbye in person. The old man does not say much. He hands Joe a small, zipped pouch. Inside are 2 American gold pieces. One is a $20 Liberty head from 1895, the other a $10 Indian head from 1909. Together they weigh 46 grams. They are illegal to own privately. The president has confiscated them by executive order 10 years ago. Joe's father has kept these 2 anyway, the way coal miners keep one good knife. His father says one sentence: they are for one telephone call, anywhere on Earth, when you finally need it. Joe sews the pouch into the lining of his M42 jump jacket that night in the barracks. The thread is the kind issued for sewing rank chevrons. He uses it because it will not rot. The coins sit against his ribs from that moment until a Soviet field surgeon cuts the jacket off him on the operating table in Warsaw in February 1945. They are with him on every jump. They are with him through every search. The first German guard misses them at Saint-Côme-du-Mont because his hand pats the wrong rib. The second misses them on the train because the lining is thicker than it looks. The third misses them at Stalag 12A because the man is in a hurry. The fourth misses them because Joe has already moved them into a sock. By the time the T-34 stops in front of him on the logging road east of the Oder, the coins have crossed France, Belgium, Holland, the Reich, and most have occupied Poland. They have not been spent. They will not be spent. Joe does not know that the gold coins are about to make exactly 2 phone calls before he gets home. One to a woman who has been told her son is dead. The other to the United States Embassy in Moscow, which will refuse to take the call. But all of that is 15 months away. On this January road, with his hands above his head and the smell of diesel and pine in the air, Joe Bearley does not think about Michigan. He thinks about 3 names he has been carrying in his head since New Year's Eve in Barrack 12 of Stalag 300C. He has promised 3 men he will come back for them. He intends to keep the promise. The Soviet tank commander asks him in halting English where he came from. Joe points west, back through the trees toward the river. The commander whistles low through his teeth. He has just rolled out of that direction. He knows what is there. There is a camp behind those woods, says Joe in his slow German. There are Americans there. There are British. There are Frenchmen. The guards will execute them when the SS comes back through. We have to go in tonight. The commander looks at the boy in the stolen civilian coat. He does not speak for almost a minute. He has been awake for 2 days. He has lost 11 men to mines since they crossed the Vistula. He has not eaten since yesterday morning. The forest smells of resin and cold steel. In 14 months, Joe Bearley will stand on the porch of his mother's house on Forest Street and ring the doorbell, and his mother will faint before the door has finished opening. But first, he has to become the kind of man who walks back through the wire he just cut. To understand how a Michigan paratrooper becomes a Soviet tank crewman, the story has to step back 7 months. To a black cargo plane over Normandy at 1:20 in the morning. To a small French churchyard where Joe Bearley landed on a tile roof and slid into a grave he nearly stayed in. June 6, 1944. The 506th drops over the Cotentin Peninsula behind Utah Beach. Joe's stick of paratroopers is jumping from a C-47 that has already been hit twice by anti-aircraft fire. The pilot, fighting the column, has drifted nearly 2 kilometers east of the drop zone. The green light goes on at 400 meters, and the men go out the door, because that is what they have been trained to do for 2 years. Joe lands on the slate roof of the church at Saint-Côme-du-Mont. His left hand catches on the edge of a broken tile and opens to the bone across the back. The scar that closes in the next 10 weeks will still be visible when in March 1945 he raises a glass of vodka with a Soviet major in a Polish farmhouse. The same hand, the same line. He slides off the roof into the churchyard. He has 30 seconds to cut his harness, draw his Thompson, and start moving. 2 German Fallschirmjäger sergeants come around the church wall in 28 seconds. Joe shoots one. The other shoots him in the upper thigh. By dawn, Joe is in a German field aid station, with his trousers cut open and his cousin's German vocabulary running on a loop in his head. Wasser bitte? Dr. bitte? Wo ist meine Einheit? Where is my unit? For 3 days he is shuttled through the German rear with 11 other captured Americans. They are loaded onto a southbound train at Carentan on June 9th. Joe is in the 4th cattle car. His thigh has been stitched by a German army doctor who refused payment, which Joe remembers for the rest of his life. The straw on the floor smells of piss and engine oil. Outside, France is burning. That same week, in Muskegon, Michigan, Joe's dog tag is recovered in the churchyard at Saint-Côme-du-Mont by another American paratrooper. The tag goes into a manila envelope and travels back through the chain. On July 7th, a Western Union telegram is delivered to Forest Street. The Secretary of War regrets to inform you, killed in action, France. Funeral and burial details to follow when possible. Joe's mother Elizabeth reads it standing in her kitchen. She does not faint. She walks upstairs, closes the bedroom door, and does not come out for 2 days. On July 19th, a memorial mass is held for Joseph Robert Bearley at St. Joseph Catholic Church on Houston Avenue. The casket is empty. 6 pallbearers carry it anyway. There are flowers. There is a folded flag. Joe's father shakes hands. The headstone at the church plot carries Joe's name, his birth date in August 1923, and his death date as June 10, 1944. Joe is not dead. Joe is in cattle car number 4, somewhere east of the Rhine, listening to the wheels. His father's chalkboard in the rail yard has trained him for this. He counts the joints in the track. He times the spacing between bridges. He knows the train is heading east-southeast. He knows when it crosses water by the change in the rumble. He notes which cars sound full and which sound empty. By the second night, he has memorized the schedule of guard changes by the click of boot heels on the cinder ballast at every stop. On July 1st, in the marshalling yard at Limburg an der Lahn, Joe and 2 other Americans squeeze out through a hole they have widened in the cattle car floor with the broken rib of a wooden bunk. They drop onto the gravel between 2 trains. Joe runs west toward what he thinks is a wood. It is in fact the edge of the marshalling yard itself, and a German railway worker with a lantern is 6 meters away. They are recaptured in 11 minutes. The Gestapo officer at the Limburg station thinks Joe is a spy because Joe speaks German. The interrogation lasts 4 days. They beat him with a length of rubber hose across the soles of his feet. They knock out one of his upper molars with the butt of a Walther pistol. Joe gives them his serial number and the names of 3 film stars from the 1937 Detroit Tigers roster, pretending to be officers from his battalion. The Gestapo files the names and moves on. Stalag 12A at Limburg is the holding camp for newly captured paratroopers. Joe stays for 11 weeks. He learns the rhythm of a stalag the way he once learned the rhythm of the rail yard. Roll call at 6, bread at 7, work detail at 8. 250 grams of black bread a day, the same ration that Ralph Churches measured against his own ribs in Slovenia 2 years earlier. Joe shares his with a sergeant from Kentucky whose teeth have rotted out of his head from infection. In late September, Joe and 4 others escape from a work detail outside Limburg by hiding in a coal scuttle bound for the locomotive shed. They walk 58 kilometers west in 7 nights, following the Lahn River. They are caught by a Volkssturm patrol with bicycles outside a village called Bad Camberg. Joe is beaten in the village square. A woman in a black coat throws a turnip at him, or perhaps an apple. He has never been sure. He keeps it in his pocket until they put him on the train east. He is sent now to a category that the Wehrmacht reserves for prisoners they intend to be done with. Stalag 300C at Alt-Drowitz on the Oder. It is east of Berlin, 200 kilometers beyond the front. It has been built to break men. The American compound holds about 2,000 prisoners by the autumn of 1944. The food is worse. The guards are older. The commandant is a man named Hauptmann Bruno Vogel, who lost an eye at Stalingrad and is rumored to keep a handwritten list of every Soviet prisoner he has had shot in the past 3 years. Joe arrives at Stalag 300C on October 17, 1944. He is assigned to Barrack 12. There he meets a tall Brooklyn longshoreman named Brendan Quinn, a farm boy from Tennessee named Earl Kerr, and a wiry French-Canadian from the 17th Airborne named Maurice Pelletier. The 4 of them, over the next 10 weeks, will plan 3 escape attempts together. Only one of them will get out. On New Year's Eve, the 4 sit on the lowest bunk in Barrack 12. They have nothing to toast with. Quinn is missing a finger from frostbite. Kerr coughs blood every morning. Pelletier has dysentery so severe he can no longer eat the bread ration. The barrack is at -18 degrees centigrade. Joe is shaking. Quinn breaks the silence. If one of us walks out, the other's name walks with him. They shake hands on it. 4 hands. 1 promise. Before we follow Joe into the wire that finally lets him through, a short word. The channel exists because of stories like this. The named soldier nobody put on a poster. Subscribe if you'd like more of them on your evenings. Now Barrack 12 in the deep January cold, and the 3rd attempt. The 3rd attempt out of Stalag 300C begins, like most things in that camp, with a man digging where he is not supposed to. Quinn, the Brooklyn longshoreman, has been working a tunnel under the latrine block since November. He chose the latrine because the Germans never search it twice. The soil under Alt-Drowitz is glacial clay, heavy and grey. Quinn cuts it with a sharpened spoon and a piece of stove iron. He moves the spoil up his trouser legs and shakes it out at roll call across his boots so the guards see fresh mud and assume it came from outside. By January 7th, the tunnel runs 11 meters beyond the eastern wire. By January 9th, it has collapsed. A brief warm spell eats the roof out from under a meter of clay. Quinn and Joe spend 2 hours digging Kerr out of it. He coughs blood into a tin cup for the rest of the night and does not complain. Quinn looks at Joe across the bunk. The tunnel was the smart way. We are going to have to be stupid. The stupid way is the eastern fence. 2 rolls of barbed wire, a ditch, a cleared strip 10 meters wide, 2 more rolls of wire, a watchtower every 80 meters with a Spandau MG42 and a searchlight. And beyond that, the Brandenburg pine forest stretching toward the Oder. Joe has been watching the towers for 11 weeks. He has counted searchlight sweeps. He has learned which of the 8 tower guards is a young Volkssturm conscript who falls asleep around 3:30 in the morning. The youngest guard is named Heinrich. Joe has heard the relief call up to him by name. Heinrich has not yet been shaved. He cradles his rifle the way a boy holds a fishing rod. January 12th. The breakout. 3 men in stolen Wehrmacht greatcoats taken off a guard's washing line by Pelletier the previous Sunday. Wire cutters ground from a barrack stove door hinge across 9 nights of concrete floor scraping. Cut the wire under the tower while Heinrich is asleep. Cross the strip flat. Cut the second roll. Disappear into the pines. It works for 43 minutes. At 4:16 in the morning, 200 meters into the forest, a German shepherd from a patrol kennel they did not know existed picks up Kerr's scent. The patrol is on bicycles, and they catch the 3 men in a frozen drainage ditch at first light. Kerr coughs once, the dog turns its head, and the patrol fans out. Pelletier is shot in the stomach and dies in the snow. The patrol leaves him under a pine tree because they do not want to carry a body. Quinn and Joe are taken back and put in the cooler, a row of unheated concrete cells 1/2 meter deep in frozen straw. Quinn loses 2 more fingers to frost. Joe loses the feeling in his left foot for 8 days. They are beaten with the same rubber hose Limburg used 6 months earlier. On January 17th, Joe is dragged out for what the camp calls a transfer interview. The man across the table is a Gestapo officer from Berlin. American prisoners are now an internal political problem. The Reich does not want them liberated by the advancing Soviets. The Reich wants them moved west or shot in place. Joe listens, says nothing in German, pretends not to understand. The officer says one sentence to a clerk. Mark this one for Group 2. Joe will find out in 8 days that Group 2 means the cement quarry at Müncheberg. Nobody from Group 2 will survive the next 4 weeks.